members of the public when we asked, will Warner's runs ever be enough? Notwithstanding the fact that we never said be enough for what, the answer was just clearly no. Let's have a look at some of the comments there. I mean, by and large, the message is no, I don't like him as a person, therefore the runs don't count. And it does beg the question, how many runs would it take? Here goes.
I don't know, 10,000 in the innings, which he might have got actually had Tim Payne not declared.
Had Tim Payne not declared. So the lesson is really, or just let your nearest and dearest know that you love them.
Pez, one of the things that's come out of this is like Dave Warner's like non-run, which was sort of a topic of much discussion in some quarters.
Much discussion.
And it's just like, does cricket, is there any other game which like just focuses on the minutiae of physics? You know, just
so
think
here
about,
he's not crossing the line.
Not crossing the line. Like, well, his spikes haven't literally hit the turf. Like, he has completed the run, but not officially. It's a great game. They're laws, and they're not rules, they're laws. That's a weird thing as well. But like, even just to try and describe the LBW law, it must pitch on one side of the wicket in line with the stumps, and if it hits, it must hit like the percentage of the ball must hit the pad, unless it's outside. It depends what the umpire said. It hits the stumps, and then like, but then depends on what part of the ball hits the bails, and then you can be out or not out.
Cool game.
Goes for 5 days. Did he complete the run, Pez?
Yeah.
No, he didn't. He's a cheat. Is that what you want? Is that what you want, Australia? He cheated. You know, that's what the boomers will be saying at the bottom of this video on the internet. But I myself am looking forward to going home for Christmas and asking what the Wi-Fi password is for 7 hours, and then fixing someone's printer. So there's a thing.
Okay. Speaking of incorrect performances, here goes. Amid the praise and celebration and general hoopla around Australia's crushing win in the Domain Series trophy or whatever it is, it's not the Biscuit Trophy anymore, was Travis Head. So Travis Head contributed literally 0 with the bat, with the ball, and in the field in Adelaide. And it's kind of prompted people to say, well, Heady, Travis, has won the Thanks for Coming award, which I think we've got actually. There it is. Have a blessed week. Now, let me just explain what the Thanks for Coming award is. It's kind of cruel humour at club level to give people the Thanks for Coming award. And at club level, it actually is really cruel because it means that the captain at some point has decided that, you have no batting skills, no bowling skills, no fielding skills to contribute to this team, to this win, to this loss. We don't want to give you any core thing to do. But I want to contend that, while there might be bitter beers for the club cricketer after you get the TFC award, for Travis Head, they're the sweetest beers of all. Let's just go through what Travis Head gets. Here's Craig Dermott, another famous winner of the Thanks for Coming award. But Travis Head, he retains his place in the side with the Thanks for Coming award. He maintains the vice captaincy. He earns a winning bonus. He avoids a deep anxiety of batting. And look at his whites here.
Cleanest
they
whites
remain extremely clean. Look at that, he's pristine. Not even sponsored by Nappy Sam. But no doubt they were involved there. And, imagine leaving work, here goes, and someone just said, you've done nothing all day. And we've all done this before. And people just say, thanks for coming. And he's like, thanks for having me.
That's all I want. That's all I want. First of all, the term thanks for coming has been ruined for me from cricket. I can't have now friends or family over for a dinner party at the end of the night and I'll say thanks for coming without making it sound like a send-off.
Sure.
Like I'm angry about it or something. But Travis Head's just guaranteed himself 3 more test matches by not performing in this unless he scores 700s in this New Zealand series, which won't be the case because Australia's probably only going about 3 times in this 3 test series, but that's neither here nor there. There's been 2 other players in Australia in the past that have done it. Craig McDermott is one of those people.
We saw earlier.
1993 against England, which is weird. I don't know how he didn't bat, bowl or take a catch when he was the opening bowler during the year, but that's the thing. And the other guy was some guy called Phil in the 50s.
You're referring to Bill Johnston there, who took 160 wickets for Australia at 23.
Phil.
They called him Phil after he got the TFC award. Okay, he goes from the passive to the forceful. This week, courtesy of former Australian captain Ian Chappell, was the suggestion that Steve Smith, the former captain of Australia, has been white-anting the current captain, Tim Payne, moving the field around, doing things behind his back, etc. Now, we can't understand what white-anting means without the definition. It, of course, refers to the action of termites eating the inside of wooden building foundations, as you can see here, often leaving no outward evidence until the structure crumbles, Smith being the white ant, Tim Payne being a building whose structure is crumbling without us seeing. And but what people fail to understand about this sort of furore, is that white-anting is part of the relationship kind of core, the ecosystem of Australian cricket. Yeah, it happens at test level, but who among us wasn't given a bat by their dad when they were 3 years old and think, oh great, I'm about to play, and dad goes, no, I'm batting first. You know what I mean? And that's when whiteouting starts, and that's when it continues, all the way through. It could be your mum as well, I should say.
Whiteouting, Pez, is a zoological term for alphaing, essentially. And we've spoken many times in the past about alphaing, and the question out there was Tim Payne being alpha by Steve Smith. Yes, of course he was. But in turn, Tim Payne is whiteouting or alphaing someone else, probably Marnus Labuschagne, who in turn is alphaing the coaching staff are whiteouting the backroom staff who are alphaing the paying public. It's a system that we understand, and it'll never change because we are, of course, scared of change. Pez, in the grade cricket sphere, cricket is a feudal system, particularly in grade cricket.
As we know.
You've got your kings and your barons at the top.
As we see
your
here.
paupers and your lepers at the bottom, and everyone in between is just trying to stay relevant. That's cricket. Yeah. And so this case of whiteouting, yes, of course it exists. Exactly. So the kings at the top, first graders, rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely so. The nobles are just sitting underneath, and basically, everyone's whiteouting someone. You could say that's happened all across Australia for a long period of time. I mean, even recently, from Gillard to Kevin Rudd, Turnbull to Abbott, back to Turnbull, Rodney Hogg to Greta Thunberg on Twitter, around climate change, etc. Who is Thunberg trying to white out? Probably Trump. Who is Trump white? It goes on and on and on. But I've gone outside the national bounds there. It is the natural state of affairs in this country. Whiteouting. Tim Payne's not concerned. Steve Smith's not concerned. Long may it continue.
Pez, I got a coffee this morning. Ordered my skim cappuccino. Brewster said to me, "There you go, champ." It happens. Just getting a coffee this morning.
Simple.
It's just completely normal stuff. Pez, this is all thanks to Optus 5G mobile and home rolling out in selected areas. You already knew that though. Coming up after the break, we're going to tell you what Australia and New Zealand are really playing for. Speak about the second spinners, and then later in the show, show you some videos that have been sent in via the direct message platform, just straight to us. Or whatever. But before then, we went to Adelaide Oval during the Test match.
Yeah, we did.
And we spoke to some people out there who were not really watching the cricket.
How many balls have you watched today in total?
I mean, I've watched 2 overs. I don't watch probably a ball of cricket. My dad hates that. Sorry, Dad.
How many balls have you watched today?
0.
Is that the right amount of balls you want to watch today?
0? Yeah.
Terrific, thank you very much.
Brought to you by Optus 5G. Pez, the Adelaide Test match, it's brilliant to be out there. A lot of those people are really excited, witnessing history. Did you have a good time out there?
A really good time. I mean, how does it not just remind you of the great CLR James quote about cricket? What do they know of cricket who only cricket know? Pims is the answer.
It's a good point. Do you reckon any of those people knew they were going to be on television?
They got very interested once the camera was on. So anyway.
Yeah, fame is hard, you're right. Pez, the Australia-New Zealand series is coming up in Perth. They're playing for the Chapel Hadley series or something. I'm not really sure. But what are they really playing for, Pez? What are they really playing for?
Well, it's our pleasure today, he goes, to announce what Australia and New Zealand are really playing for. We believe that Australia will win this series handsomely, despite what people are saying, bouncing against him, in Perth, etc. But really, can Australia topple New Zealand in the Best Bloke Stakes? And that's why today we're announcing that they're also playing for the MCCULLUM-Bailey Medal for Best Blokes Ever. There it is. There's the trophy. Wonderful Photoshop from the good people here at this network.
That cost $8 million.
Now, let's just look at how difficult it would be for Australia to beat New Zealand in the Best Bloke Stakes. Australia beating New Zealand, it's harder than Australia winning in India. Away. New Zealand are notoriously difficult to beat in this game. Harder than it will be for the Democrats to oust Trump.
Sure.
Harder than it will be to get a return phone call from Greg Matthews for your own podcast, which I'm not meant to mention here. But but I mean, how lovely are New Zealand? Can we just look at Jacinta Ardern, please? I know we're going to get a lot of shots. She's just absolutely gorgeous. You know what I mean? We try in Australia. We try politically. We obviously got our own Prime Minister who's running drinks out to the players during Test matches. He's got his own sort of comical figures
they
there.
They weren't really sure about that, were they?
He's not really leaning into that number 6, is he? He's sort of looking at no eye contact. He's getting Alfred there again. There's Morrison.
He's saying I voted Greens.
In the bottom corner. But they're coming from different places, Australia and New Zealand. And we have to look back at Australia's history if we want to understand whether they can be nice again. So let's just go through where they've been this decade. Spotify's doing this as well. But here's Michael Clark and Jimmy Anderson. Get ready for that, for the arm thing. Brad Haddon too, some New Zealanders as well, I believe. Yes. Australia won that match. Then here's Josh Hazelwood snarling at some, Crane Williamson as he's leaving the crease. He still has to sort of give him something there.
Who was the third umpire?
And then Nathan Lyon here, just dropping the ball on AB de Villiers. Australia won 3 of those 4 matches. In the 4th one with Lyon, there's something happened after that. I can't really remember. But with this medal, I just want to explain it. He goes, it's going to be a 3-2-1 system, kind of like the Brownlow medal. It just doesn't go for as long. No. And so if we were to do it this week, for example, we would, you'd award some points to Tim Payne, wouldn't you? Because Tim Payne has survived Steve Smith's clear alphaing, white-anting, whatever you want to call it. Look at him, wonderful. But
looks good always.
Not to be outdone. This is how good New Zealand are. Kane Williamson accepted an award this week, a Spirit of Cricket award for losing the World Cup. And look how nice his face is. Look at that face. Can we just pause for a minute? I know it's bad TV, but we just pause and look at that wonderful beard, and we can get used to that over the next 3 tests. New Zealand will not be beaten, I think, in the MCCULLUM-Bailey medal, but let's just see what happens.
Yeah, Pez, this is our Bledisloe in many respects. I think I'll be keeping a keen eye on the first handshake there at Perth, who lets go of the hand first. That'll say a lot about how the series is going to play out. Don't really care about what's going to happen in the cricket because Australia's, as I said earlier, only going to bat 3 times, and there's probably going to be about 6 days of Test match cricket. So you're thinking about what are the ways that you can win points in the Bailey, in the MCCULLUM-Bailey medal for best bloke. So there's things about most genial mid-pitch conversation. Who does the thing that commentators will say great sportsmanship there, or it's nice to see them playing with a smile on their face. That kind of stuff. Recalling batsmen for an unfair dismissal. Clapping vociferously when the opponent scores 100. So obviously Australia won't get an opportunity to do that because New Zealand won't be scoring any hundreds. If you don't use a single review, because the umpire is always right, as New Zealand found out in the World Cup. I think from an Australian perspective, we can finally accept that the Lamington is New Zealand's.
Yes.
And New Zealand, conversely, can finally accept that Richie McCaw spent his entire life offside at the breakdown.
Nice. Rugby jokes. So,
that'll play well.
So look, keep an eye out for the MCCULLUM-Bailey medal. We're accepting your submissions as well. Just hashtag MBM. Doesn't matter what comes up, we'll just find it on the internet. Hashtag MBM. You can send it to 7 Cricket as well. We want your submissions for who has been the nicest throughout this series. I think we've got a little bit of time quickly, he goes, to discuss the second spinner issue within Australia. Mitchell Swetson came out this week and said, look, the pitches aren't good enough. This is a symptom of us never being satisfied in Australian cricket. And Steve Waugh coined this term, I believe, when he wrote a book literally called Never Satisfied. He was the beginning of many, he coined many eras, actually, Steve Waugh, that he avoids responsibility for. But nevertheless, I don't think we need to think about who the second spinner is. We need to actually think about the wickets themselves. That's what Mitchell Swepson's saying. So the question isn't who's the next spinner, it's who's the next horticulturalist
I like it.
in Australia. And there are a few going around. I mean, obviously a wonderful Sydney Cricket Ground wicket. The AFL's trying to own that quite shortly and probably will happen. But we were thinking who might be the next horticulturalist in Australian cricket. This network's own Jamie Jury, for example. Could he be the next horticulturalist? Could he do what needs to be done at the Gabba, at Perth, at Sydney for us to get that second spinner?
Maybe. We did actually see him in the hallway earlier and he said, please don't speak to me.
that's a good point. So he's getting right into the alpha culture already.
Exactly right.
So, what about Costa Georgiadis? I know he's not part of this network yet, but what a wonderful face salad. I think he's just saying off there.
Yeah.
There he goes as well. I mean, I'd love him to be preparing this SCG wicket. So really, they're the questions. Scott Cam, he does something with his hands as well, with a good clip. I don't know. I'm just saying, I mean, this is sort of lateral thinking that we need in Australian cricket.
Pez, remember when quite recently Trump was going to acquire Greenland?
Yes,
he was just going to buy it.
Yeah.
He was just going to buy it. So I kind of like the idea of Australia. Why isn't Australia buying parts of the Middle East or Southeast Asia? Tasmania playing an away game in Burma, for instance. I like that for a Sheffield Shield game. Really exacerbate the spinning problems here in Australia. All right, this is all thanks to Optus 5G mobile and home, rolling out in selected areas. Before we go to the break, we spoke to the players and we asked them what do they think when they hear the words Tim Payne. Tim Payne.
What a story. The skipper. Captain. Skipper.
Skipper.
Captain. Skipper. Funny.
Clean.
Botox. Kookaburra.
Semi-alpha.
Never a hair out of place.
Pretty boy.
Pretty boy.
Pretty boy. Pretty.
Cute.
Come back to that one.
Keeper. I don't really have a lot there.
Tight. Good fella. Great fella. Great. Well done.
Welcome back to the Grade Cricketer on 7, brought to you by Optus 5G.
Okay, he goes, it's time for That's Village, where we just embarrass people from Clubland. Can we throw to the Sting, please? In a second, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where people just send in their videos and we just go, well, that's a little bit Village, so kind of invokes Village cricket. Let's see it. Let's see the Sting.
Yeah. Let's see it.
It's very meta, this show, in that sense, The first one, he goes,
Yeah,
go.
the first one we had here sent in from Adelaide Oval, where a couple of guys just had a great LBW shout, and I just want to know what the actual answer was given by the statue. I tell you what, the absolute celebration. Sometimes you can be out on the appeal, and that was one of the best appeals that you'll see.
Indeed. Yeah. All right, moving along, back to international cricket. We're at the MCG, an empty MCG. He goes, where James Pattinson, the Australian quick, receives a coffee on the boundary. I don't know what coffee he's gone for or what his order is, but I believe we've got some footage here as well.
Enjoy, mate. Good bowling, mate. What's up, buddy?
Not bad.
Yeah, it's good, mate. When are you bowling next?
Off now.
Bowling a bit short today. Pitch him up. Big next spell, pitch him up.
Not much in the wicket.
Yeah, fast. Always like that. Why?
Okay, there's layers there to that bit of footage. First of all, when you are playing Test cricket, you just come back from the Ashes, packed crowds, huge arenas, intensity. You come back to Shield cricket in front of 14 people and 14-year-olds as well. You do need a bit of caffeine before you have a bowl. Second of all, nice to get some advice from the coaching staff there from the sideline. Yeah, have a cappuccino, but also pitch it up.
Pitch it up a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Pez, some rules apply to some and don't apply to others. Shane Watson was playing a club game recently. There was an LBW shout. Let's have a look at what the bowler had to say about this.
As they say, he goes, in the eyes of umpires, everyone is equal except when it comes to international batsmen at club level. Let's move to the next one. I don't really know how to introduce this other than just to look at the text across the screen, which tells the story. I don't know what this is. Let's just have a look. Decide for yourself.
Well, there's a lot going on. What is going on? What is going on? A lot of guys watching. Synthetic pitch, dry it out. We have seen recently, Pez, people actually burning the wicket to try and get a game on. Not really sure you need to do that with a synthetic pitch. Also, socks and slides. Not really necessary to comment on fashion, but I just did. So hey, here we are.
And Kevin Roberts as well. That club needs that grassroots fund as well. I think it's the only two pieces of equipment they own.
Okay, Pez, another one got sent in. We get sent these all the time. People just blowing up when they get into the dressing rooms. This guy's taken it one step further, though, and he's actually got a piece of equipment to use
in anticipation of
being upset and failure. So let's have a look when he gets in the dressing room here.
Yeah, here he goes. So he's just been dismissed.
Yeah,
in he
walks
comes.
In. There's energy, a lot of energy when he comes in.
A little bit more violent.
Well, it's okay. So he's got a bat. He's got a bat waiting. Yeah, there's a bat. He's actually brought a bat specifically in to have that. So he knew he was going to fail. He knew he was going to fail.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And I think we can all relate to that.
I mean, are you a fan of rage bats? Would you get one yourself if you had your time again?
I've had my time again. Nut would probably take up beach volleyball.
I would never play it. Okay, so just finally, here's an example of what some like to do when cricket is rained off, i.e. make more videos about cricket.
Yeah.
So we got sent in this.
Okay,
This is
a
what we do
lot
when
of
cricket's
going on
raining.
here. Everyone in whites in the backyard.
Yeah.
Okay, coming in. He's got a run up as well.
Yeah,
Okay, spoons a catch.
Spoons
It's
a
actually,
catch,
the cinematography is not bad, actually. I mean, it's not Spielberg, but there's a little bit of Scorsese to it. And he's just taking the grab, and then it was just cut off there. But Mum was just on
Mum
the
gave
back
him out.
end. Mum gave it
For
out.
people of a certain age, you used to be wondering about the excellence of that property.
Property acquisition once again gets a huge run on this show. Bez, are you doing that? Getting the boys around for a little catch in the pool?
Yeah, whenever we were called off, the first thing we thought to do was to develop a Martin Scorsese-esque documentary about what we actually do when we play cricket.
We've been stopped playing cricket, but how can we get more cricket in? Exactly. All right, that's the Grade Cricketer on 7 for another week. Thanks as ever for tuning in. This is all thanks to Optus 5G, mobile and home, rolling out in selected areas. We'll see you. Will we see you next week?
Next week, and get your MCCULLUM-BAILEY medal points in as well, please.
Get them in. See you next week.